now for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Joining me on the program today, unfortunately, my man from the NYC cannot be here, but we have my man from up north, Joey James, a.k.a. Double J, and, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, D. Gully. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, how we doing, man? It's great to be out here today.
Oh, yeah. Happy Father's
Always an honor.
Happy Father's Day to you all and to all our listeners out there. I know this show is being pre-recorded, so when the folks finally hear this particular show, they'll be like, well, Father's Day, that was last week, or Father's Day, that was last. So I just wanted to let folks know we are pre-recording this here. Therefore, it's on Father's Day, and we want to say Happy Father's Day to all. Gentlemen, of course, we are here to discuss the Toronto Raptors winning their first ever NBA title against the Golden State Warriors, and we're calling this the Raptors-Warriors Finals Edition. But first, I just want to throw something out here at you all. You know how I'm going to tell you all a sure sign, I'm telling you, that you're getting older or that becoming an elder is a lot closer today than it once was, or a couple of years ago, or whatever the case may be. Parallel parking. If you can get him in there one time, then you qualify for the Indy 500. If it take you two times, then you might be able to navigate rush hour on the busiest freeway or street that you have wherever you live at. But if it take you 13 times, man, you ain't got no business even messing with bumper cars. And that's me. I'm that guy. It took me 13 times to parallel park this morning. So I'm just saying, just wanted to let everybody know out there that, yes, Father Time is undefeated. And if anybody out there, Double J, Gully, in your neighborhood or wherever you're at, I just would like for you, and the folks that's listening, I'd like for you all to do me a favor. Just do me one small favor. Keep your eye out on any discounts on hover rounds, because that's where I'm at right now with it. You know what I mean? I'm done parking cars, okay? Just give me a little hover round and ride all the way to Arizona. You know what I'm saying? Put a lawnmower, Briggs and Stratton on the back of it, and I'm out. Okay?
Man, that's really that's a shame, man, because I know how much of an avid racing fan you are.
I know.
So to hear that it got that bad, my man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling for you, bro.
Yeah, I was parallel parking, and what's sad is it was a couple of squirrels and a raccoon out there and a skunk eating. They was like, what is this dude doing? I wish he'd hurry up already. You know what I'm saying? Hey, don't run over my acorns. That type of, it was a bad scene this morning. Get out the car. Got jumped by a couple furry critters. Okay, yeah. But again, man, if y'all find some discounts or some deals on some hover rounds, please let me know, all right? You know me, I got to cut things off at the pass. I'm not going to wait till the last minute to buy mine. I'm going to hook up with Thelma and Louise, too, and we're going to get out of here. Yeah, so, and in addition to the Raptors-Warriors Finals Edition, we're going to start things off, actually, discussing this Lakers, Anthony Davis, Wilt Chamberlain, Bob Cousy, I know he played for the Celtics, Jerry West, return of the Mac, or Max, so to speak. That's how everybody's responding to this whole AD going over to the Lakers deal. Now, I'll say this right quick just to weigh in. I mean, I get it. It's the name. But following some of the responses after this thing went down, or it hasn't really gone down just yet, has it? But it's supposed to be like a done deal. I guess they got to finalize, some, the signing on the dotted lines sort of deal. But I'm following the threads here on Facebook and the timelines, and I'm like, man, the reaction to this thing is like, you would think it's the second coming of what? The Dalai Lama or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get the name, and, add with LeBron, and, I get the perception and all of that. But, I mean, the reality is, AD is one hangnail away from, missing half the season. Gully, what you think?
I get what you're saying. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they're just instantly going to be the team to beat in the West. Not by no stretch of the imagination.
You can't tell that to Lakers fans.
Nah, you can't tell it to Lakers or LeBron fans. You really can't. the thing about it is, though, I'm interested. My thing is, when I thought about it last night, I'm listening to all the names that were mentioned. My thing is Rondo still going to be there next year? Because if he is, then I'm on board with this trade. If he isn't, then I got big concerns. You're going to need someone who doesn't have an ego, who will command to run and facilitate the offense and not become a jump shooter like LeBron tends to make his point guards. And if you do, you have a player like Rondo who could dominate a game by not scoring a point, has evidence, I think, when he was with the Pelicans. Remember the one playoff game he had a season or two back where he had like 4 points and 20 assists. Mm-hmm. If you have a guy like that on the team, and I'm being very particular here, admittedly, but if you have a guy like that on the team, then that makes the difference in the trade, right? You know how we talk about all the time. It's not the stars, it's the others, right? We'll go into that as it relates to how Toronto performed, how Toronto won the finals. But I'm looking at the others. Who are the others around the Lakers that are going to make this thing? And if he's there, if he's one of those guys, I think that makes a difference on how successful this trade will be.
Yeah, Double J, before you weigh in, let me say to Gully's point, that's why there was some talk about the Lakers needing to add one more or one other person, star, quote unquote. And I also saw in the Facebook timeline like a picture of 5 other point guards. Kyrie was one of them, Kemba. And when you say that about Rondo, if the Lakers are indeed looking at Kemba, then I'm got the figuring that Rondo won't be there. But I get the idea. What you're saying, a guy like Kemba would be better suited, at least on paper, for these Lakers, the way they're assembled right now, and I'm sure they're going to try to add some more pieces or whatnot, I believe, because a guy like Kemba balances the others out in a way that Kyrie doesn't. See, it's not enough just to add a name or add a player to what you're doing. Is the player that you're adding, is he complementary? Because let's be honest. Let's be all the way honest and 100 and however, let's keep it real, however people want to say it. When you're on a team with LeBron James, the question ain't so much who is, like, you know, who they're going to add. Is whose ego, who's willing to fall back. Because you know it's some sacrifices come along with playing with that dude. Double J, you agree or disagree?
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. Look at the systems that he's played in, just everywhere that he's been. There's been sacrifices across the board.
Yeah, so that's what I say, man. You know, and nobody's really addressing that. Nobody's discussing or saying anything about somebody got to be willing to sacrifice, because Dwayne Wade had to do it. Now, he didn't have to, but he was willing to. You get what I'm saying? You know, everybody wants to be a starter. No, nobody wants to be, you know, come off the bench. And I get the mentality. Yeah, I want to start too. But you got to be willing to. That's up to the player. And Dwayne Wade was one of them guys who were willing to. Everybody else who, for the most part, that this dude played with, they were forced into sacrifice or being the sacrificial one. So that's what I'm looking at more so than anything. You know, AD, of course, is going to be an integral piece. But anybody else, you know, a guy like Kemba will be what, like you said, Gully, what Rondo would, theoretically anyway, because he balances the floor out. You know what I mean? He's a floor general. But at the same time, Kemba will be a much better addition because he's much better offensively. You're not going to sag off of him, you know? And then I hear now Chris Paul won out of Houston. Man, the NBA it's a joke, man. It's a joke. These storylines have become front and center, you know? We seem to be getting further and further away from the fabric of the game. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, it's like you say, man. It's the playground mentality, man. Definitely. Oh, this guy about to be over here. Oh, I'm gonna play with him. This guy about to be over here. I'm gonna play with him. It's kind of like, you know, when we played ball, it was the AAU teams, the teams of the quote unquote system players, and I'm gonna leave it there, that consistently in our league, in our multi-talented, all-star driven recreational developmental league, it was those teams that were teams that consistently shocked and amazed everybody by who they beat. And I see what we're seeing now is the Spurs way of dominating became the Golden State Warriors way of dominating, and throughout and persistently the guys, the marquee lights, you know, the marquee stars seem to be the players that everybody wanted to play with, or the way they wanted to make a team, and consistently those teams came up short, and it was always shocking to someone when the teams that were built, not bought, continue to dominate. For what it's worth, the Raptors are maintaining that same theory. They were built, not bought.
Yeah, well, that's what I say about the Warriors. Their core is still in place, and akin to the Spurs somewhat. They don't rebuild. They're just going to reload. So, yeah, they may take a downturn a year or two maybe, but they'll be back because of what they have. The nucleus is in place. But back to the Lakers right quick. What they gave up is just, it blows my mind because, yeah, Double J, I want to ask you this, and Gully, you too, but I want Double J to weigh in first. I'm trying to understand this whole value when it comes to picks, draft picks. On one hand, I don't know exactly what Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram were, but I know, where they were at, whether they were 1, 2, or 3, but I know they were both top 5 picks, right? So you're telling me
correct
to easily to get rid of these guys for a guy like AD, knowing his injury history, okay, and I look at injuries in come basketball and just about any other sport, far different than I do football. Let me point that out. But I'm saying, do picks really have a value? Because you give up on these guys so quickly. Boom, 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 you out. You trading them, and then there's a couple more draft picks after they, like the 4 first-round picks within the next couple years, and the 4th pick this year, and then a couple first-round picks the next couple of years. And you give up Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. Hey, that seems like a whole lot. Then on the flip side, you look at a guy like Zion coming out this year, and then you telling me the number 1 pick means everything. So correct me if I'm wrong, Gully, Double J. Lonzo was a number 2 pick overall? And Ingram was number 1, or vice versa?
I think Lonzo was the Lakers' first pick. So number 1 pick for the team, you know what I mean? Where
okay, right.
He was their first pick in the draft.
Right. But so in other words, okay, whether he was the actual number 1 or 2, 3 is irrelevant. He was the Lakers' first pick, which he was a top 5 pick. So how can you so readily give up on these top 5 picks? You're telling me to do that. You're saying, oh, these picks they don't have no value. Not no value, because of course they got Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? But at Lonzo, Ingram, and what you're giving up, that's a lot. That's what I mean by no value. Then on the flip side, a guy like Zion, a pick means all the world. I just don't get it. Double J, help me out here.
Well, yeah, just to weigh in on first their picks, they were both actually number 2 picks.
Okay.
However, you just touched on the 2 philosophies in basketball. You have teams that have a win now mentality, which is essentially what the only option that the chaos in LA could put together. Because again, they had all the pieces in place for a Spurs and Warriors type of rebuild. But again, with LeBron, it threw all of that out of the window. So they'll be right back into that cycle probably about 3 years from now. So if they don't win a title within the next 3 years, it'll be considered a massive failure.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you're seeing from both franchises where their priorities are. Because now you're talking about the Pelicans who are going to have the number 1 and number 4 pick, in addition to now possessing Lonzo, in addition to the assets that they already have on their roster. So the money is there for them to put a team together, just like when they had Chris Paul, a little over a decade ago, and they made a playoff run then. Do not be surprised to see them build organically, while on the flip side of the coin, you're going to see this growth through acquisition model with LeBron and the free agency. Because, again, what a lot of people forgot was that there were the contract, the length of the contract, and the amount of money tied up into the Lakers was actually very thin. The Pistons, on the other hand, would have loved to have traded places with LA, simply because the only person that had a lot of guaranteed money and a lot of guaranteed time were these younger athletes, or LeBron James. And so now that you've shipped off those, there's not a surprise that it was Ingram and Lonzo, simply because of the length of their contract. And so at this point, it allows for 1 to 2 additional pieces, which you guys have been touching on up to this point, as far as who will fill those roles ultimately.
Yeah, when you mention win now, let's stay right there for a second. I believe the way New Orleans is set up right now, they're building to win now versus buying or bought to win now. There's a difference. I would rather build for today and be here for tomorrow as opposed to buying for today and not sure whether or not if tomorrow is going to be promised to you. Knock, knock. Okay? I believe David Griffin, and I'll say this, to this date, David Griffin was the Cavs' biggest loss. I repeat, David Griffin was the Cavs' biggest loss. Gilbert's ego, and we all know how that played out to some degree. And if you don't know, I'll briefly tell you. Griffin was due a contract extension or something or another, at least some negotiation. Gilbert didn't even holler at the dude. He let the time come and pass. He didn't even holler at the dude. You know, he didn't try to have a sit down, like trying to keep him and whatnot. And based off if what came out of the Cavs camp when Griffin was there at the time, who were the top free agents, you know, that he was supposedly making a move for or trying to make a move for? I know it was Jimmy Butler, Paul George. Who was the other one at the time? Do you all remember?
I think those were the two biggest, because the whole idea, Paul George was the most talked about name, because it seemed like he was ready to go. And as a matter of fact, I think it did come out that there was a tangible offer. Oh, Melo. There was a tangible offer for Paul George to come to Cleveland, and it fell apart.
Yeah, but see, that's the point is, Griffin had something in the works. He had done what previous Cavs GMs couldn't do. I'll take that. Wayne Embry was pretty good. He had a couple of snafus on his resume, but for the most part, he was okay. But Griffin had something in works. He had something in play. And he was basically sending the message like, look, be cool. I think it was I can't remember who the third guy was. He was like, look, I might not be able to get all three, but I can get at least one of the three top, heralded guys that were being discussed in free agency that year or whatever the case may be. And for Dan Gilbert and his ego and this back and forth with Bron to get in the way of the most important piece, if you're really talking about winning and continuing to win, which was David Griffin in my case, to just, let that get in the way of all of that, man. I think it was the Cavs' biggest mistake to date. I really do. We'll see how this Laker thing play out, man, because I'm not going to lie. I think to some degree it's good for the Lakers. That's that instant mashed potato moment, you know what I mean? But I'd hate to see if you got to reheat them, as opposed to the Pelicans. That's the grandma's mashed potatoes, It's store-bought groceries. You get what I'm saying? You got to actually put the meal together, and you can put whatever you don't eat in the refrigerator, and all you got to do the next day is take it back out and heat it up, and it tastes like it did the first time, as opposed to that microwave stuff. I'm just not into this buying type stuff. You buying, it just, you can't hang your hat on that, man. Even if it's bought, you just can't hang your hat on that. But we'll see how this plays out. But, yeah, as far as the Pelicans are concerned, I think David Griffin, the way it stands right now, man, Griffin, he fleeced the Lakers. Would you say so, Double J?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, he fleeced them, man. He fleeced them. My gosh. He got a 5-for-1 special. You know what I'm saying? And you get two top picks.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Right, you guys have played the board game Monopoly, I think, a time or two, right?
Not really. I play Sorry.
All right, well, if
Jenga.
You play Monopoly, right?
Connect 4.
Okay. well, look, I'm gonna tell you like this, man, because real talk, man. It actually happened to me, man. And my 8-year-old beat me the other day because I did what the Lakers did, and he did what the Pelicans did. Pretty much very early in the game, I had my Baltic Avenue, right? I had my LeBron James. I was waiting on other things to happen. I needed something with it in order to make it happen, right? Meantime, I had other assets, had other properties, had my St. James place and all that, right? So the time came around where Boardwalk was available to me. I got my Boardwalk, got my Park Place. Now I'm trying to put houses and hotels on them, right? You know, it's most expensive. The most expensive place on the board to place houses and hotels are the blue properties, the Park Place and Boardwalk, right? So my 8-year-old come to me and say, hey, look, here's what I can do for you. I can give you a couple of, I forgot what other properties we changed, but ultimately what he did was he took all them properties on the first strip, right between Go and the jail places. Mm-hmm. You got Mediterranean, Baltic, then you got them light blues. He took all them light blues from me and put hotels on them immediately because he had the assets. He had hotels where I had houses. Now, real talk, not to get too far in it, basically it costs $600 rent if you have 2 houses on Park Place. Well, guess what? He got 3 properties with hotels that's $600 for rent. How many times did I hit them 3 properties and lost my game? That's what David Griffin is for the Pelicans.
That's a very good analogy.
He had everything to build for the long term, and in the short term, all I needed was somebody to get my Boardwalk and my Park Place, but I have to be healthy enough to survive for that chance. That's right. Exactly what's happened. Basically, I'm telling you, the Lakers know that I don't see that the Lakers so much know that they're getting fleeced. They're certain that they'll win, and all they want to do is add another banner. They don't care about the long-term effects of the franchise. They think that by adding a banner, and that while LeBron James is still under contract, it'll help. Because, I mean, truth be told, if you think about it, I'm just guessing. If a team wins a title, I think there's an era of forgiveness that the fan base will have for that team. You know, you win one, okay, if you don't repeat, that's fine. You can still be relevant for a few years. I mean, think about it like this. People were not upset with the way that LeBron James left the Cavs, the identical way he left the Cavs the first time. Why? Because they won a title. So I think there's some merit to that. But I think that's what's happening. They knew what they were giving up. They just want to win now, baby.
Yeah, they win now. But guess what? If you don't win it, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, exactly. If they do not win, there will be no forgiveness.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a very long. It'll be climbing Everest for the Lakers to get back.
Yep.
And meanwhile, again, when you spoke of earlier the initial question, which was regarding those two different philosophies, do not be surprised if David Griffin leverages one of those later first-round picks to then add a championship asset from a different team, from a different franchise. Again, we're forecasting further down the road because, again, we all know that it's rare to see a late first-round pick become a gem. But hypothetically, you've seen Rasheed Wallace, you've seen Kawhi Leonard, who are the cherries on top to these different teams that get them over the hump.
Yeah. You know what, though? When you say it's very rare, I guess you could say that, though. It's very rare to see a late-round pick or a second-round pick. I don't know. We haven't – Gully, you and I did this a couple of years ago. Didn't we go over a list of players who were picked in the later rounds and in early second rounds or even in the second round period? And it was quite a few, more than a few guys who had made some noise. Maybe go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, those second round picks that ultimately become the second round picks that perform like the first round, right?
Yeah.
Which, to your biggest point, especially when it comes to what you say about the Browns, it's about who's doing the picking.
That's what
right?
I said too.
And let's look at David Griffin's history. Okay, has GM. I think perhaps maybe missing the mark on Anthony Bennett might have been his only mistake.
Right.
However, I tend to argue maybe the coaching staff behind the pick was the bigger mistake, whereby you didn't have a coach in Mike Brown. You didn't have a coach that was very good or excelled at developing talent, because I think Anthony Bennett was certainly a work in progress, and therefore it didn't work out. But by and large, the picks he had during his tenure, starting with Kyrie, the picks he had during his tenure all seemed that they had cohesion and they all developed. And then again, you're giving him a young core of talent, plus some more picks, plus the number one this year. Don't be surprised if they don't show up or don't perform like the Denver Nuggets of this season, because we already seen young teams that can be phenomenal to start.
Yeah, that's why I think they're going to be relevant right away with some sustainability. Whereas the Lakers, it's all
and
style.
You know what?
It's all style and circumstance, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's stylish. It look good. But the fallout, if they don't win it, I mean, because the odds right now, I'm looking at these things. This odd thing that they're 4-1. The Lakers are for winning the title next year. Now that's the Arnold Rothstein factor. Wink, wink. But I'm just saying, if they don't win it, should they not win it, the fallout is going to be far more extensive than the forgiveness would if they do win it. Did that make any sense? You know what I'm saying? The folks are going to be talking about that for years. Whereas, the forgiveness.
Those odds are going to change.
You think so?
It's inevitable. I mean, again, from a salary cap standpoint, they're in optimal position to add, again, up to 2 more pieces. I think Rondo does stay. Rondo may restructure his contract to get 1 more.
Yeah, that's possible. It's
quite
possible.
And again, when you have when you're looking for the stabilize, you're looking for the underpinnings. When you buy a car, you don't look at horsepower is one thing, engine is other things, but sometimes those underpinnings, right? Those performance things are the things that matter. That's why they call, like, for example, the Mini Cooper in his native country was called a giant killer, because it wasn't the biggest, but its handling made it such so that way those supercars, those fine German engineering cars around turns and up valleys and everything else, that Mini Cooper was built just right, where it had the right stability behind it to make it perform. As much as I might not like LeBron James's basketball IQ or what have you, I will say, with the right complement of talent, with a stabilizer on that team, the proper stabilizer, like Dwayne Wade was in Miami, like Kyrie was in Cleveland, they will be a force to be reckoned with. And it's a matter of if they're going to get there. And I think at this age, I think LeBron James' style of play is going to change. I think he's going to start to do maybe what Magic Johnson has a Laker did with James Worthy, realizing I'm still who I am, but I'm not quite as great as I used to be, and I need another guy to carry the load. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, though, the Lakers, look, Father Time is undefeated. I keep saying that, okay? Now, you just one load management double Russian leap split away from being out for the season again. Let's be honest here now, okay? Them guys are, well, Anthony Davis, how old is Anthony Davis? He's not nowhere near 30 yet, is he?
27, I believe.
Yeah, he's still a young guy. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how this plays out, because you're right, though. But again, we have to emphasize, in their case, the Lakers, we have to emphasize complementary. How many times have we seen the Cavs in past years, before Kyrie and Bron and all of that, where they'll have 8 of the same players? Do you understand? You have to get a player that's complementary. If you pick a guy, okay, this is the guy we're gonna build the franchise around, then we can't pick another guy. That, like the case in New Orleans too, though. If I'm not mistaken, you already got Julius Randle. You add Zion. Are they not one and the same, so to speak? That's like a contradiction almost.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
Randle, though, I believe is free agent.
Okay, so he might be out of there. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this thing plays out. It's just now getting started, so to speak. But you got to add complementary players. A guy like a Bradley
let me
Beal.
ask you that then. Who would you bring
for the Lakers?
Both. If you have the opportunity to re-sign Randall in New Orleans, but yet you possess the number 1 and 4 pick,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, Randall. I mean, because he probably the way he balled out the last year or so, he not gonna want to keep coming off the bench. I don't know. You know, it depends on the mentality. But you're right. You know, if you're looking at it, then Randall might be up out of there. Because if they get a Zion and a DeAndre Hunter or somebody like that, I don't know who. Would you, I don't know. I mean, my gosh, you got the 1 and 4. You know, that's candy. That's like kid in a candy store with $20 in their pocket. I got the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got the best of both worlds. But for the Lakers, a guy like a Bradley Beal, ooh-wee. Now, let me pose that question to you all. Do you think a Bradley Beal would have been better for the Lakers than an AD? Gully?
No.
I think it's a wash.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair.
I think it's a wash.
What about you?
I think, but see, but because Bradley Beal hasn't had the same popularity, if you will, has AD. I think it's a wash. I think they would be, if they made the move, if they acquired Bradley Beal, they would be just as potent, I believe.
Yeah, but let's look at it from, again, the only option the Lakers have at this point following the trade, because it's where they're at presently. They could have acquired Bradley Beal, but now they can't. The only assets they could acquire at this point, because they have nothing else to give other than Kuzma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to get that up.
So it's not, again, it is free agency or bust for the Lakers.
So they basically, by doing this AD thing, you're saying they basically kind of handcuffed themselves for anything else.
Yeah, but again, they have the money available. So, and it is enticing. They have, sure, you can utilize and leverage the geography, the fact that it is, quote unquote, LA, Hollywood, and, the history of the franchise, all that sales pitch that they, have always done. But again, it fell among deaf ears for the last 7-8 years post Kobe. But at this point, you do have the brow and you have Bron. And so if you are a free agent, you're going to list.
That's interesting. You say post Kobe, they've been having the same sales pitch, but so Kobe was a guy like a Kobe or a Shaq or a Magic is the difference, huh? So it's not so much where, it's who and where. Because if you don't have the who,
argument for a while.
It's been an argument for a while now. Is that what you're saying?
About simply the old way of thinking, the old rationale that, everybody wants to be in California, everybody wants to be in Florida, with no sales tax. That might be a little bit more lucrative than it would be to be in California with a crazy inflation rate.
Yeah, but with their type of money, I don't know. It might make a difference for the average.
Well,
Joe.
correct.
You know what I'm saying? With their kind of money, I don't know. They be like, this is where California. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I do think it's something to be said, for geography, if you would. But it's also something to be said that, like you just mentioned, the Lakers are the Lakers, and this is California. But why since Kobe has nobody rushed over there? You know what I mean? That's why I said maybe it's the who as opposed to the where, so to speak. All right, man, let's dive into some.
And you know what it is?
Go ahead.
I was going to say lastly, it's an effect. It's the LeBron effect, and not from things gravitating towards him like a planet, but at the same time, these players are now understanding that it means nothing to be the man, to be the king of the rats on a bad team.
Yeah, right. yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's dive into some of this Raptors-Warriors NBA Finals. First off, again, I want to congratulate the Toronto Raptors on defeating the defending champ Golden State Warriors. Although numerically the series was done in 6 games, for the games I was able to see, I say kudos to these guys, man. Because I saw a level of competitiveness that we may not have seen, or we can't really say that we've seen or saw in the conference finals themselves, at least not to me. So I tip my hat to both combatants. And the Warriors were still the Warriors, like Gully pointed out in the conversation he and I had before we came on the air. the Warriors are still the Warriors. You know, the Raptors, it's not like, even without Durant, you know, and Clay, later on in the series, of course, but still, the Raptors, you know, they couldn't rest on their laurels, so to speak. They still had to, you know, they had to go get the victories. All right, so I tip my hat to the Warriors, man, you know, in that instance. Without whoever they had or didn't or should have had or whatnot, they still made the Raptors work for it. You know, and at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for first and foremost. But I want to ask this question. Why is it, and Double J, we'll start with you on the response, why must the national pundits and the local media alike, you know, as soon as I turn the TV on, man, they're giving the attention to did the Warriors lose, quote unquote, instead of giving that credit to the Raptors first for winning. And let's be real. Let it have been the Cavs. Everything stays the same. Everything stayed the same. Let it have been the Cavs doing this. Man, it's an entirely different story. Go ahead, Double J.
Well, you bring up a very valid point. In this order, it was the Warriors were shorthanded. It was Drake, and then it was the Raptors.
Right. Yeah, that's what I don't get. And you know what else, too, that bothers me? You know, I looked on the Facebook timelines, and I see some of the responses. You know, and I just think it's asinine that folks and their fandom will cause them to have a level of disrespect and indignancy or ignorance. All of a sudden, the Raptors win. Now that's Canada. You know, that's Canada up there. And I'm not saying to all, you know, because some people made reference to, and I get where they were coming from. But it was some, man, the comments were just so bass-ackward. So now it's us against them. Now we all united as Americans versus Canada. They're an NBA team, the Raptors are, right? My point is, why would we first look to not give them credit or take credit away from them or put it, and the question was being asked, is there this an asterisk? Should we put an asterisk by this title? No. It went 6 games. The Raptors won. Let's move on. Right? Give them dudes their credit, man, and stop trying to find a way to discredit. You know, you purposely looking for a way to say, no, it wouldn't have been like that if it had been an American team had the Lakers won it. You get what I'm trying to tell you? The same scenario played itself out, or any other team. I just found that to be asinine. Gully, go ahead. If you want to, just weigh in right quick on the whole. Why is the national media the first thing come out? You're talking about the Warriors and what didn't happen, but you're not giving the Raptors credit, and they're the champions. Again, let me ask you. Let's say the Lakers or the Cavs or any other team had won it. Do you think that's how the shows the national or local shows would have started out? Talking about the team that didn't win it as opposed to the team that did?
Not at all. Not at all. When it's a Lakers, a storied franchise or a storied player, you lead with that, right? If it's LeBron James and or the Lakers or the Celtics, or if the Knicks ever become relevant again, then you would lead with that, right? Absent that, then it's always what wasn't there. And it's unfortunate, though, because I think it should be noted, though, it's hard to dismiss the fact that key guys for the Warriors were injured. That being said, we can't assume that if they were healthy, that it would be a sweep. There is absolutely no data to support that. As a matter of fact, the one time the Warriors were healthy, they lost significantly to the Raptors, who were missing Kawhi Leonard during the regular season. So the data would support that the Raptors had a better chance, stood even just as good a chance of winning this series with a healthy Durant and a healthy Clay. So I think it's really, really disrespectful to the Raptors that we're looking at it as if they won it by accident. Well, somebody had to get there. How about the fact that they beat every team that they wasn't supposed to beat to get to the finals? Because remember, we thought that Jimmy Butler going to the Sixers was going to be the thing to get them over the hump. We thought the Celtics were going to get it together. We thought that Giannis was going to get it together. And a matter of fact, I think aside from the Celtics, the Raptors took care of each of those teams handily, might I add.
Yeah.
You mean Billy?
Say that again, Double J.
Yeah.
Just you got to remember, it was Kawhi's shot that propelled them over the 76ers.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, where Embiid took the wrong angle being the second help defender. But anyway, I'll digress from all of that. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't see why you take credit from the Raptors in no shape, form, or fashion. And now, and I don't know how much credit or credence you would lend to this part of the conversation, but it's talk about, so much is made out of the star or the stars or how many stars or how many all-stars and how many this and how many that. Well, now they talking about Kawhi as that one guy, and then it was everybody else. So he won without having to have a bunch of, he won without the Heatles or the Raptors not having to be the Heatles. So Double J, what's to be said about that? Will we now see teams following the Raptors blueprint? Huh? Or should I say, like George Karl once said, like which I've mentioned more than once before, he said, we in this day and age in the NBA, well, now when you're going to put a team together, you're looking at stars first. Whereas, how about building a team and let a star emerge? Is that what we're seeing here? Is that what the Raptors are? Double J?
That's not fair. You can't do that.
Huh? What's not fair?
You can't. The Raptors earned every bit of this, and I would be the first person to say, of course, 5-on-5 with a healthy Golden State. You heard me and Brother Rich say it time and time again, but
yeah, you don't want me to play back the tape. You really don't, because I went.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no.
Yeah. You don't want me to play back the tape.
I think it was the best interest of the NBA. The NBA had a little bit of. If you were to ask David Silver who he wanted to win this series, in confidence, he was at Toronto, because again, you want to see growth in other markets.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Because this word parity being tossed around in the NBA, I laugh, I scoff at it. I mean, if you want true parity, it ain't so much about which players are positioned where. It's about exposure, or more so, of your entire product. I mean, come on, man. How many West Coast games I get a chance to see them, because I'm usually up late, especially when I'm off. My off days are situated around the Tuesdays and Thursdays, so to speak. I got to see the Sacramentos and the Phoenixes and so on and so forth. But the Warriors play out west. Why do we see them? I'm not, this is not literal, just in a figurative sense, trying to make a point here. We see them way more than we do the Sacramento Kings. And they out west. People say, "Oh, them games are out west. We don't get to see them." Right? We don't get to see them because the NBA, to me, they don't do as good a job as they should of showcasing everybody throughout the regular season, at least. You understand what I'm saying? We need to see them.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: people want to tune in for superstars. I'll tell you this: as somebody that owns an NBA League Pass, and somebody that would clamped his eyes open to stay up for these West Coast games and was entertained from start to finish, with the exception of Phoenix, who I just felt my heart poured out for Devin Booker every time, because he'd have 25 in the first quarter and they'd be down by 30 at half. But, with that being said, it's about numbers, and numbers are represented in viewership. That's how you get these contracts with these cable companies in specific networks. So that's why you're not seeing the Sacramento Kings or the Phoenix Suns on NBA TV or ESPN outside of October, and if you're lucky, by around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Instead, you're seeing on a consistent basis the Golden State Warriors. I mean, you even saw the Lakers without LeBron.
Right, but see, here's the deal, though. I got NBA TV, and NBA TV, of course, is NBA specific, network, if you would. So I get to see all of them games. That's how I get to see the Sacramentos. But you talking about people want to see stars. Well, guess what? Who's to say that Melvin Bagley won't be a star? But if I don't get to see him, I won't know if he can become a star. All of these stars.
And you know what?
All of these stars. Right, but wait a minute. All of these stars that became stars, before they became stars, somebody had to showcase them because if you're not a purist, it's a lot of these guys you didn't know before they became what they became, but you had to put them out there so that other people could see them. Superstars are not just superstars when they roll out the bed, so to speak, as in terms of viewership. You know what I mean? You got to be able to see these guys in order for them to gain a following so that you can now call them a superstar. You got to showcase these other guys.
And I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you one bit. It's just the nature of the business. And you're absolutely right. There's probably two pieces on that Sacramento team that are worthy.
De'Aaron Fox and Melvin Bagley, for sure.
Absolutely. And so the unfortunate side of it is it's represented by their record.
Yeah, well, that's not. Yeah, I get it, but that's not good. That's not. You got. It's 30 teams in the NBA. Now I get it. You got your. Well, I don't want to use this reference, but anyway, you got your best teams, and you got the middle tier, and you got your bottom tier. But you can't. Or I'll use this as an example. It's like working at a job. You got your good workers, you got your and then you got the ones you ain't doing. Okay, but guess what? You can't wear your good workers out. At some point, you got to make the ones that ain't doing much or nothing. You got to make them do something. I hope that's a decent enough analogy. You get what I'm driving at, though? Yeah, we get it. We get to see the Warriors and we get to see the Lakers because the Lakers are the L.A. and all of that kind of stuff. But you have to do a better job of mixing in the Phoenixes and the Sacramentos. You have to. You have to. Because guess what? There's some fans out there who like De'Aaron Fox and Melvin Bagley Jr., but their voices don't get heard unless it's on a platform like this. You know what I mean? They want their voices heard, too. Like, hey, we know it's only 5 of us, but hey, hello, we're here. We're here. We're here. I get it. You just can't.
I mean,
go ahead.
You bring up a good point. I mean, you utilize the NBA champion. Toronto was rarely broadcasted on national TV. You were from the East. It was Philly. That was
Boston.
fairly consistent, and it was
Boston,
absolutely, and
Milwaukee,
Boston.
Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly,
and you know what? And Milwaukee would have fell in that third spot. It was far less frequent for those teams, and that was your conference final. Was Toronto, at least from a Canadian perspective, is not a small market.
No, it's not. It's not from an American perspective because, my goodness, I've been to Toronto a few times. No, it's not small. But see, I get you want to put out front your marquee teams. But you got to the other ones do matter to some degree. You understand what I mean? The other ones do matter. You got to showcase them ones so that they become memorable, if you would, as well. You're just too top heavy. You turn on a
yeah.
Go ahead, Gully.
No, I think that Commissioner Silver is at least doing this part to acknowledge that, because I think parity or the lack thereof is worse in the NBA.
Yeah,
however, I think he's doing this part to acknowledge that. I think that's part of the motivation behind changing the All-Star game.
Absolutely.
And making it, so that way you don't have to follow it, because if the stigma is about one conference being weaker than the other, that means that the teams are weaker than the other. But then if you have the star players playing everywhere, you'll get a chance to see a guy that you've never seen before, and then go ahead and follow him on. Some of those things that we had mentioned a few weeks back about having more mid-season tournaments and things like that. I think he's at least
that's a good
actively
idea.
Acknowledging. Hopefully it's not a case of paying lip service. I think there is revenue to support that there's work to be done by creating parity. Sometimes it may just be lip service where maybe there wasn't enough revenue to support even trying to make it such that you didn't see the Lakers and the Celtics all the time, no matter if they were good or not, or forcing the Knicks down our throats when they're not good. So I appreciate his efforts to really, and it seems like they really are starting to turn into action to be able to expand it so that way people do see it a lot more.
Yeah,
and I want to just touch on Gully's point because I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and you're right about it being inclusive. What is being not underrepresented is his takeaways from watching esports, because when they formed the NBA 2K League and he watched the revenue, not just the revenue, but the viewership for players that, again, you could walk by one in the street and have no idea that they have 1.5 million followers, but at the same time, the teams that they represent, he understood, look, a lot of these NBA athletes, regardless if they're in the G League, if they're in the D League, if they're on a bad team, they have a large following.
Yes.
Which means if they're more inclusive, it doesn't matter if it's the Hershey Bears versus the Toronto Raptors or the New York Knicks. People will find a way to tune in, and that screams dollar signs to anyone from a business venture standpoint, and Commissioner Silver is going to utilize that to the fullest extent. And it's, for somebody like myself, I can speak for myself here, I would tune into every single one of those games.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you used the 2K reference, because my sons, when they would invite their friends over, and they would play with the best team, the teams with the highest ratings, and I don't get off in all of that. I guess if you're a 98 or 96 or 99, I said, man, playing with the best guys all the time, that don't mean that they will rack up all these wins or whatever, and they be bragging. I said, go play with, no offense, Double J, go play with the Pistons. Let me see how, go pick the worst team and let me see you beat the best team. Because it's easy to pick the best team all the time, and that's what the NBA, to me, still has an issue with, and I'm glad Silver is addressing it. I will give him credit for that. That's what I mean by showcasing all your best teams. Everybody want to play with the Warriors and the Cavs. Now, of course, everybody going to play with the Raptors. Get what I'm trying to say? But you, as the NBA, you got to, because the guy who playing 2K, it is a guy out there who's playing with, I don't know, pick one of them bottom feeder teams. See what I'm saying? It's a guy out there that's playing with them. Because there was a few times when I had my son, when he wasn't playing his friends, because they want to pick all the popular teams, like I said, I had my son set up to where he was playing against other people online, of course, that he couldn't see. Man, there was one guy, man, picked, what's the name? The Indiana Pacers. And my son had the Warriors. Man, this dude with the Pacers smashed, and my son was mad. Man, ain't no way in the world he could do that over Steph. Ain't no way in the world he could do that over Draymond. I said, man, it's the dude with it's what's called a controller. You know what I'm saying? I said, y'all put too much emphasis on what a dude's rating is or what a guy's name is. I said, you forcing the ball to a guy because, stop forcing the ball to Bron, because he Bron. I said, you still got to move the stick left or right. It's up to you how you do. Okay? You know me, that style of play. I'm going to always reference that. Yeah, I'm going to always reference that. So, yeah, at the end of the day, man, I think that I would I would like to see more of those bottom teams. Just for no other reason, like you mentioned, for the fans that do follow them, they can get the recognition that they deserve, so to speak. You can still showcase your household names, the ones that the money makers, if you would. You can get them their shine, deservedly so.
But I think what would help though is having more guys like a Giannis on squads like Milwaukee, and having them take pride in blooming where they are planted.
Wait a minute.
Seeing the Denver Nuggets, seeing if that core group can continue to develop, because really all that matters though, it's the old adage, just win, baby. You know what I mean?
Right, but wait a minute.
The Nuggets.
Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
You're right. But there's another side to that. Having a Giannis
Okay.
on them type of teams, I get it. But how do we know that De'Aaron Fox is not a Giannis, so to speak? You get? How do we know that? You got to show.
Well,
you got to show
got to support it.
Well, wait, but okay, but listen. Okay, so the wins determine whether or not if a player is worthy of the viewership or worthy of being considered good or not.
Yeah, because you got to remember that's what I'm saying. That's why Giannis.
Okay, so hold on.
Why Giannis is my example. I mean.
Okay, so wait a minute. I'm following that line of thought. Then let's say the Pelicans take Zion number one. They taking him number one to do what? Sell tickets. For if nothing else, he gonna sell tickets, right?
That helps the local market. That helps the Pelicans. Yeah, that helps the Pelicans, of course. That helps the Pelicans the nights in which they play elsewhere. But we're talking about to establish it so that way me in Central Ohio want to watch a team in the Northwest.
Zion
why do I
going
want to
over
watch
to
the Portland Trailblazers?
Zion
Why
going.
do I want to watch the Utah Jazz?
Zion going to the Pelicans, and they ain't won by the much of nothing. It's gonna put them. They're gonna be front. They're gonna be right up there with all of the rest of the teams being showcased at the top because of him.
Well, the number that's traditionally true with any number one pick, and I think the cat's out of the bag that that's going to be the case with him.
Right.
So
it's traditionally the case, but in his case, it's extra special.
Gully just agree, but what Gully just pointed out is the common rationale, not only for the casual fan, but from the front office of the league and anyone from these particular networks as well. And it's frustrating because for somebody like myself, I personally don't care what the record is. I used the example earlier, how many games I watched Devin Booker. And sure, he deserves to have more assets around him, and he ultimately will. But what sells? Because when it comes to contract time, and that's what these guys at the league office are looking at, they're data analysts. They're only looking at these are the numbers that we have and what's going to give us our best case to leverage our product.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'm glad Adam Silver's doing something because you got to do more. If it's about what sells, then wouldn't you rather sell the whole pie as opposed to 2 or 3 slices?
Yeah, but you look at it from this way. If you go into your local party store and you're going to pick out a slice of pizza, what are you looking at? Are you looking at buying the entire thing, or are you looking at the best slice possible?
It depends on how hungry I am. Because if I'm hungry, then I'm buying the whole pizza. I might eat a couple slices, but me personally, I'm getting the whole pizza regardless. Because I know I'm going to want to eat something now and save some for later. Ta-da! Yeah.
But again, you're seeing, and again, you look at that Gully's point with Giannis and Milwaukee, it puts a lot of stock into not just that player wanting to bloom in that same field that it was planted, but the only way that that's really possible is the pieces around him, and not in players, but actually from the front office. There's got to be a lot of cohesion. And at this state of the NBA, it's always in constant flux because of results.
Yeah, I just say I'd like to see, and I mentioned, the Sacramento, I'd like to see guys like De'Aaron Fox and Melvin Bagley Jr. I'd like to see them get what they got or deserving of before they win 60 games. I just think them guys need.
Don't forget who their owners are.
Yeah, well,
and they're not exactly the. Again, we talk. I'm telling you now. You've talked about it about sports gambling. It's no different with, you get the owner that nobody likes, the black sheep, if you will, and instead the league has a bias against Sacramento. So how do you hurt these owners?
Yeah.
Well, you don't put their games on TV so they get less. You hurt their pocket.
Yeah, but that's That's a tall order, man. I mean, you playing. That's a dangerous game you're playing too. If that's what you're doing. I mean, I get it, but then you hurting your overall product too. You're gonna hurt your.
Without a doubt.
You're gonna hurt your overall product to get back at a couple of owners.
Yeah, but you want to tune in. You've stated it. So what does that mean? In order for you to watch the Sacramento Kings, what do you have to do? Because they're not going to put them on national television.
Yeah, you got to sign up for NBA TV.
That means you have to purchase something extra. Exactly, which benefits who? Of course, it benefits the Sacramento Kings, but more importantly, it benefits the league overall.
Yeah, but they still would do better if they made it available to more people without it having to be purchased. See, not everybody can purchase the thing with the NBA TV package separately. They're like, look, man, I can afford that. I'm paying this and that already. I'd rather just see it on ABC. You'll get more out of it. And I'm not saying it has to be to the tune of what Golden State and the Lakers are being shown. I'm not. But you got to show them at least enough times for folks to be like, hey, who was that guy? You know what I mean? Well, we use the same example when it comes to boxing. Y'all asking us to pay $39.95 for guys who I don't even know who they are before you asked me to pay $39.95. That's my first time seeing a guy. When you asked me to pay for it. Are you kidding? No, not doing that. But let me say this, too. I did not get a chance to, unfortunately, see the entire replay of the game, closeout game for the Raptors. Congratulations again. I did not get to see it. Unfortunately, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm all over the place. But I saw enough of it to ask this question about Steph's late game threes attempts or whatever, the go-ahead three in particular, his go-ahead three-point attempt. I was having this discussion in the shop with these guys because they were watching it on the TV. They were, Stephen A. and them were debating it, and Max Kellerman. And they were like, man, Steph, that is his shot. You know me, I'm all about shot selection all the time, whatever. But that is his shot. He just missed it, is what they were saying. That is a good shot for him. So I question still, though, even though that you're able to, just because you can don't always mean you should. And me, based on the situation. You trying to shoot, a go-ahead three, when in that moment, in that situation, the idea of going up at all would seem to me to weigh way more than trying to go up three. Do you need a three? And they said, oh, yeah, but that's his shot. If that's what he do, that's what he do. I thought, again, it was better to be up, period. All right? I'd rather be up two than trying to be up three because, what's the point of just, being up three? But anyway, Mike Fratello, and this is again on NBA TV, they were discussing it. The Czar, of course. He had a very good point to the same question because the host of that show in particular said the same thing. Was that a good shot selection? I said, okay, well, here we go. That's why I like NBA TV. Now he sound like me. And Fratello said, any shot is a good shot for Steph. He said, but the question is, if the time allowed, is that the best that they could get in that situation? And in very particular, Mike Fratello says any shot, like I said, is a good shot for Steph. The question is, did he have time for something else? Let me repeat that. Did he have time for something else? And I'm so glad he said it that way because that's how I'm going to start saying it now. Did you have time for something else? Gully, did he have time for something else in that situation?
Yes, he did.
Oh, do tell. Elaborate. Or be Kobe Bryant in this case and give us some detail.
No, I don't. No, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. You elaborate.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so Double J, you're going to hold on. Double J, you're going to elaborate, and Gully, you have to elaborate, or otherwise I'm muting you. And I didn't say
go ahead, Double J.
I didn't say you were going to be a mutant. I said I'm muting you. We know Wolverine's your favorite X-Men character, but that's not what we're here for today. Go ahead, Double J.
Well, you're absolutely right. He had plenty of opportunities to choose elsewhere. the frustration that I had was his decision making. It was almost reminiscent of Damian Lillard in the previous series. And you were livid when we discussed that. And that was one of the main focal points of why Portland didn't advance. And Steph shot their way out of that last game. If you look at that fourth quarter, and specifically after Klay went down, he was upset. He was visibly upset by it.
Yeah.
Even Klay's choice to dunk rather than just pull up for a wide open mid-range shot. You said the mid-range is a lost art. I couldn't agree more. He was wide open, and it cost him all of next season for the most part.
Yeah, but
by choosing to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I did see that play. I forget who the player was that tried to block it or whatever. But he went up. It was
Danny Green.
Yeah, he I don't even know how to say this, man. You know, because there's a lot of folks out there that pick apart what it is I say. But I don't know. I'm going up. I'm going up different in that case. You know, we used to have this thing where when you get close to the rim like that or whatnot, then if you're driving to the rim and the defender, that's why you see guys sometimes not like they used to. They look over their left shoulder or right shoulder because they're measuring it. They want to see how close the defender is to them before they go up. And if you still feel like the defender is in close proximity, then you get there and you do a hard stop and then you go up. The idea is to remain square. See, so this is what I mean by the fabric is in everybody's so hell bent, excuse my French fries, on the athleticism. They're so caught up in the glamorization of the athleticism and the speed and all of that, that the fabric and the fundamentals, the little nuances are being lost. They're being cast to the side, by the wayside. The two dribble drill. How many times should the ball touch the floor? Or, like I just said, about remaining square. No matter where you move, whether it's your spot or not, on the court, you have to remain square. If you go up in the square, you should come down in the square, no matter what. And I mean, you know, I had to go back and look at it, you know, because some people say, well, you know, he had time to do it. I don't know. And I still plan on watching the entire closeout game. And I don't know if we'll revisit this or not, you know, but maybe in private conversation or off the air, we'll discuss it, and I'll give you all my full take. I wish I had saw it. I've been trying to. But just from watching basketball, man, and based on situations and watching film, yada, 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 blah, 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 I don't know. I got to put myself in a better position there because he tried to go up. I didn't know he was going to tear his ACL, but I'm not surprised based on the way he was going up with it, the way he landed. You know, all these one-leg step backs and one-leg movements and one legs and all of that, man. Okay. But I speak from experience. You know, that's why I look at it differently. You know, I went through that, man. I was going up for a layup, planted my left foot, but the way I was going up was, you know, put it on the front cover of Slam magazine. You know, that was my Slam magazine moment. And guess what happened? Yeah, I ended up having ruptured my patella, pretended, but you know what I'm trying to tell you? Nah, yeah, you go up. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
Was it a case whereby maybe because he was focused on too many things at once?
That's possible.
How to get that because he couldn't stick the landing, or he didn't stick the landing that he would have had he had a different focus.
Look,
no, it sounds like confusion. It sounds like confusion because I don't.
It's possible.
It sounds to me like he landed raw. He landed awkwardly. It looks to me like I shouldn't say it sounds. It looks to me like he landed awkwardly because he
of the contact
was focused on something else.
Yeah, he landed awkwardly because of the contact. But here's what I'm saying to you: you can go up knowing that the contact is going to come, and give yourself the best chance by landing. If you already know that you got to know that even if the contact don't come, you got to presume or assume that the contact is going to happen. Look, you remember the shot? You remember the shot? We all remember the shot that Iguodala tried to shoot and LeBron blocked it. The chase down block from behind, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Tayshaun Prince did it.
Yep.
As a ball handler in that
He did
situation,
it
what were you going to say?
No, I was thinking about. I think it was you talking about the one that Tayshaun Prince did to Reggie Miller,
Right.
like a couple seasons back.
Right.
Yeah.
The offensive player he was in the wrong. The defensive player got the block, and I know it was talked about and it looked pretty and it was all of that. But as an offensive player, you have to gauge when you put the ball on the floor, right or left. Try to visualize with me now. And you right there, and you know you getting ready to go up for a layup. You have to understand where that defender that you blew past, he's not going to just stay there. He coming behind, he following you. He's waiting for you to go up on the side that he eventually gets the block on. Iguodala should have, if nothing else, should have knew that before he went to go get that layup or try to shoot the ball off the backboard on that side, that LeBron was the proximity. He was too close. So guess what? I'm setting you up. I'm using the reverse. I'm going to the other side of the rim. I'm using the rim as an extra defender. You don't still try to go
You're
up.
absolutely right.
You don't go up on that same side. If I'm Clay, I, on my way to the basket, got to know that even though what's in front of me is free, or I'm got a clean look at it and I'm free for a layup, you got to know that this guy he's right there. And then you got to take into account, these dudes they 6'9", but when you put their arms in the air, they 7'28". You got to account for the length. So all I'm saying to you is, and I got to go back and look at it, a little bit more detailed or whatever. But you should never ever put the ball on the floor to drive to the cup, even when it look like it's open. It ain't open.
I'll give it to you this way. He could see in his peripheral vision that there were two defenders that were coming from the opposite side of the paint. He chose to go up with his right, which is as strong, rather than his left, which he would have dunked the ball successfully at that point, which would have completely changed the outcome of the landing, despite the contact.
Right, and that's what that's the point I'm driving at.
So your point is 100% accurate.
That's just my point. I'm saying if you know on the way in that they still come in, then you'll know how you're going to land. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's just too many of these one leg actions. Going up off the wrong leg, going up off the wrong foot, whatever the case may be, and it usually ends the way it ended for him. And I speak from experience, man. I'm telling you. Now, believe it or not, and I know things are happening fast, and the players going on. You're in the moment. It's the finals. This will be our last game, and all of that. But that's why you prepare the way that you do. You prepare for these moments, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, you have to stay sound in your principles. That's why the preparation is so key. And the preparation being the film study and the situations and this. What are you looking for? Okay, I need to know if I'm go here and I'm on this part of the floor. All of that matters, man, in those moments. All of that matters in those moments. And we know Clay is a veteran, champion, all of that good stuff or whatnot. But you got to know, man, once you get past them guys not going to just stay up there at the top of the key. Well, some of them do. Not mention no names. So you had to know, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Danny Green. Wasn't Siakam in the play as well? Anybody? Maybe?
Correct.
Yeah, Siakam was in the play. Well, you got to know. You got to know, man. You at least have some idea. You got to, or as they say, you got to be able to feel for the extra defender. I got to feel you coming. Iguodala, on that block shot by LeBron, he really helped LeBron out, to tell you the truth. Reggie Miller helped Tayshaun Prince out. I'm already setting you up. That's why you see guys on, whether it's in transition or even if it's just half court and a guy get free, he'll look over his shoulder real quick. If he's driving right, he'll look over his left shoulder just to see who's following me and how close are you. You have to gauge the defender at every moment in the game. If I see you too close, guess what? And we've seen it happen where guys think they're going to get a block and the guy do a reverse or go to the other side of the rim. You know what I mean? I think Clay, to Double J's point, maybe he should have went up in here and got the dunk. Because the idea is, well, however you go up is how you're going to come down. That's my point. See Gordon Hayward. Okay? Everybody want to get the Sports Center top 10 on, and I get all of that, but, is it worth it? The top 10 moment, and you spending 6 months of your moments laid up, healing? Because believe me when I tell you, it's not so much the injury as it is the rehab. Okay? You ain't got to have an NBA contract to deal with the rehab. You still got a rehab. All right? And let me tell you, buddy, the rehab is a million times worse than the injury. A million times worse. That healing process, they keep you immobile. Depending on what type of injury it was, they keep you immobile, man, for 2, 3, 4, 5 months sometimes. And then just imagine your leg or your finger or whatever it is that you damaged, staying in that position for that length of time. And then I had the therapist tell me, they said, man, do you realize that for every day of muscle atrophy that you're dealing with, it takes 4 or 5 days to get that back? So just imagine you can dealing with 3, 4, 5 months worth of muscle atrophy. Now it's time to rehab. I mean, again, the one thing that got me about my hookup, I was on the table, and they do this thing where, because I still had a lot of swelling or whatnot. They had to put some heat on it and they put ice. It was a big deal, man. To massage it because it was real knotted up around my kneecap, and the kneecap wouldn't move. If your kneecap won't move, for patella injury anyway, I can't speak for ACL and all of that, but if the kneecap doesn't move, they not trying to do nothing, and that's their job. They got to get you up and going again as quick as possible. So they going through all of this stuff trying to get my kneecap, massaging the scar tissue because it was so big. They doing all kind of stuff, man. And I hear this guy, because I couldn't see him at first because the pain still was just excruciating. Oh, they yanking and yanking on it. I'm like, oh. But I hear this guy grunting. So I look over. Man, do you know it was a guy in there getting his grind on, man? He only had one leg. I said, okay, if he in here, let's do this. Let's do this. But trust,
wow.
Yeah, he had one leg. He was getting it in. Do you hear what I'm trying to tell you? He was getting it in. They had these little ropes and stuff. Not to get off the side. We're going to get back to the Raptors-Warriors here in a minute because I want to ask you about Draymond Green's statistics, Gully. I hope you got that ready for me. If you do, I appreciate it. But, this guy was getting it in. They had these ropes, stuff where, you can have. He was climbing everything. The guy was all over the place. And then the therapist looking at me like, okay, your turn. I was like, yeah, let's do this. But can I take my pain pills first? Please. The rehab is no joke. So in the case of Kevin Durant and Clay, they can definitely come back from it. For sure. But I don't care how great the doctors are and the fact that you're an NBA player, you got the best doctors. I don't care about none of that. If you are not at home on your own doing what you're supposed to do, it ain't gonna matter about the best doctors in the world. You're gonna be through. And more so than the physical aspect of it, it's the psychological. Man, after I did it, and unfortunately I did it twice. But the second time was far more worse than the first time, but I was favoring and didn't know I was favoring the first one, which lent itself to the other one going bad. But believe me, the first time I did it, and I played hoop, Gully, you know this, played hoop almost every day, everywhere. Man, I would get up, man. The girl I was dating at the time, she's like, I'm not going nowhere with you because I already know you're going to play basketball and you ain't going to come in here till next week. Bye. Okay. Man, when I did that the first time, oh, my goodness. You couldn't mention the word basketball. I was hitting you with my crutches like somebody's grandmama with her cane. Get away from me. He's trying to steal my purse. No, stop. Yeah, I didn't want to talk basketball. I didn't want to see basketball. I didn't want to do nothing. And then Gully, when we was at Bienvenue, a couple years after I'd had it and I was up and around again, Mark, he the one, he coerced me, man. He convinced me, in that 3-on-3 challenge when we were in the, what was that Bienvenue was a part of? The corporate challenge.
Corporate challenge.
Yeah, where companies got together and they had like various events, some were pool, and you could win trophy. It was a third place, second place, first place winner, and all the trophies and all of that kind of stuff. The very first year Bienvenu was in it, Mark kept coming to me. He said, "Man, we're gonna be in the company, gonna be in this corporate challenge. They got a 3-on-3 basketball, man." He said, "I know you down. I know you down." I said, "Mark, man, if you don't get out of here, man, I'm gonna stab you with this pen." No, I'm just no, not stabbing nobody. You get what I'm saying? I said, "Man, go ahead on with that, man." He said, "Man," he kept coming to me every day, "Man, I know you're gonna play, man." So finally, because I didn't trust it. In my mind, I was like, "Man, I'm going to land and I'm going to do it again." I did not want to do that again. Not for the injury, like I said, but to have to go through the rehab. But, long story longer, I ended up playing, and what happened? Our first year in it, we got all the way to the championship. And, of course, I ran out of gas. But that's neither here nor there. So, Gully, let's get to this Draymond Green thing. Very rarely do you see a guy who has not only a triple-double, but give me Draymond Green's stat line, the complete stat line for Game 6. Because I'm wondering, I saw the stat line. I was like, man, the guy he didn't just have a triple-double. He had a something else after the triple-double. I mean, my gosh, he filled it up the stat line more so than he does any other time. And I'm wondering, how is that not a W?
Well, because of the one stat.
No, give me his whole stat line. Give me his whole stat line.
Let's do it good. He went for 11 points, 13 assists, 19 rebounds, had 3 steals, 2 blocks.
And did he?
He didn't foul out. Yeah. And
he didn't foul out. Right. Okay. Good. That was
good.
What
about a technical?
Oh, he keep one of them. Yeah, he keep a technical. That's that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And then how many cups of Gatorade did he serve? 27, I believe. And he cleaned up the floor.
If by cups of Gatorade you mean turnovers, he had half the team's turnovers.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant, he did just about everything you could do that night, and they still didn't get the W. But yeah, with turnovers, that'll do it, I guess. Taking care of the basketball, your style of play, all of that falls into it. You know what I mean? Because very rarely do we see a guy cover that much ground in the statistical categories and his team does not win, especially being a guy where, for the most part, when he get a triple-double, the Dubs usually win. Do we agree?
Right.
Can we agree on that? You know what I mean? Unlike some other guys get triple-doubles, I'm not going to mention no names here. That's not what we're here for. They get triple-doubles. There's a lot of L's that come along with them. You know what I mean? But not the case with Draymond Green. If he usually gets that, they get the W. So, Double J, let me ask you.
Well.
Okay, no, go ahead, Gully. Finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say I think it's worth noting it's worth noting some more context. Usually it is, but considering the final score of the game, it still came down to a possession or two. So the fact that he filled up the stat sheet and they lost, I don't think that that's an indictment of the performance. I mean, it was still very close. He did what he did to keep the Warriors in the game. It came down to a possession.
Okay, hold on. Let me interrupt you.
You deserve some credit there.
Yeah, let me interrupt you. You said it came, despite all that other stuff, it came down. They were still had a chance to win.
Right.
Okay, sort of like the Kings and Lakers. Oh, my bad, Double J. I did not mean to throw that. Right. My bad, Double J. Double J. Yeah, we don't have enough time. We already did.
Vladdy, why did you tip it out, Vladdy? All he had to do was grab it, man.
Yeah,
all he had to do was grab it. All he had to do was grab the
rebound.
Ball, and the
Thank
Kings
you.
Go to the finals, and they beat the Nets, and they win their only title in franchise history.
Now listen, we don't
yes.
We don't have enough time to really go into that. We already kind of long in the tooth here, and I'm appreciating what you guys brought to the table. But yeah, I'll say that too. It's unfortunate, but guys like Vladdy, Paul Gasol, them guys. Why are you tapping it? Valanciunas, you tapping the ball, man. You 7'19". Grab the rebound. Throw them elbows, swing them left and right. You see what I'm saying? You look like Double J out there, when he was at the park. Give me my rebound. Give me back my rebound. I don't know. Yeah, But Double J has a different take on the Kings and Lakers. We'll get to that some other time. But not lastly, because I do want to mention what I said earlier before the series started about the Raptors' front line, and then I mentioned in particular Siakam, Gasol, and Ibaka. But before we get to that right quick, to finish up this Draymond stat line, when a guy like him has a stat line like that, okay, and including the turnovers, and they don't get the W, that speaks to what? Why didn't they get the W? Even though they were still close to win, why? Was it, because to me, I believe it came down to a couple late game decisions based on the situation. This is what I'm driving at. Do you agree or disagree, Double J? And if you say one thing about Chris Webber, I'm telling you. Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Again, I'm going to focus on Steph Curry. He shot them out of the game.
He shot them out of the game, you say, huh? You know, Double J is not usually not in agreement with me, Gully. What's going on? He must have had some. What you been drinking today, man? Coffee with a little Kahlua in it? Oh, wow, of course. All right, a Rocky Mountain guy. All right, gotcha. So Steph shot him out of the game, huh? So, in other words,
I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, looking at the stat line, it suggests that. But I think there's other points you're trying to make, though. But I like to address that at another time.
Yeah. Well, in other words, at the end of the day, was there time on some of these late game decisions based on the situation? Was there time for something else? And not just in particular on Steph's 3-pointers. Let's look. I'm just talking about late game period. Was there time for something else? Did the Dubs essentially cost themselves a win? Boogie Cousins. What about Boogie Cousins? I think you just like saying Boogie. You trying to go back to Soul Train, Double J? Stop it.
No, his decision making as well. I mean, it was unfortunately the folks that you needed to step up and be clutch couldn't have been further from the opposite, and that sealed it. And and despite all that, they still had a chance to win. And no, I'm not going to point out the Chris Webber aspect.
Okay, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Draymond Green call a timeout that they didn't have?
No, they all did it. The whole team.
The whole team was clueless.
Even Steve Kerr. They panicked, and even Steve Kerr acknowledged it. When I looked at it, it didn't look like he knew that they didn't have a timeout either. It was like it was a gut reaction. Get the ball, call timeout, and they didn't realize they didn't have it.
And see, this is what I mean.
The whole team failed on that regard.
And see, that's to my point. This is exactly what I mean when I say folks are relying on the athleticism and the pageantry of the game now. Oh, we're going to win because we got all the best names. You still got to know what's going on in the game. Have we not had this discussion, or when we've been having these discussions about basketball in particular, has it not come up when I say it?
Let me ask you this, though, because, again, to give you some context, to further because you're hitting it on the head yet again. They just came out of a timeout.
Hold on. See, so they just came out of a timeout, and they didn't know how many timeouts. How do you? Oh, you know what? That's like I tried to tell my son about watching film. Are you watching it, or is it watching you? What's happening? What are you getting out of it? I would stop to think. Okay, tell me what you. Because how do you see it and don't come? How do you not know that? How do you not know that? Unbelievable. It's never been a time when I played with Zebras, man, and I'm not trying to prop myself up or nothing like that because I don't have a contract. Never did, okay? So kudos to them guys. But it's never been a game I've been in with Zebras, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm just watching the action just to be watching it. I'm leaning over to the coaches. Hey, man, how many timeouts we got, man? How many fouls do number 31 got? He got 3? Okay, good. How many fouls do he get? No. And then I'm watching the game, and I'm saying, okay, you know what? And when I'm buzzed in, I'm going, hey, man, we're not running that play. We're going at number 31. He got 3 fouls. Let's get him out of here. You see what I'm saying? You got to stay and you got to know what's going on in the moment. You got to know what's going on in the moment, man. Too many guys just freelancing, running up and down the court. Hey, these guys putting up 35 points, man, because they walking in the shots. And then everybody, I told y'all how I cannot stand these points-only comparisons about which player is better or not. He averaged 35.6. He averaged 35.7. Which player is better? That's all we using? Man, y'all kill me with this. It's killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me. But, yeah, okay. So everybody on the team, nobody on the team knew they didn't have no more timeouts after you just came out of one? But yet and still the conversation is about who the best player is or whose team it is. Really? But yet and still, when who's the best player on the team and who the best player in the world and whose team is it, when the other side show itself, everybody want to talk about some, man, he's a bum. He's a this. Well, because no matter about all that other stuff, the aforementioned is going to always come down to the nuts and bolts of the game. Now, if either one of you gentlemen disagree with me, please speak or forever hold your pieces, your Reese's Pieces. And
no, it's nothing to add to that.
Okay, got you. I mean, all that other stuff is fine and dandy. It's nice. It's great to talk about, especially if you're having a hot pocket at the water cooler, I guess. You know? But it's going to always come down to the nuances, man. If you don't make the nuances a matter of importance when you're in your preparation for these types of moments, then guess what? Your athleticism and talent, they don't always get you what you expected to get. But the nuances, yeah, they usually do. And then lastly, gentlemen, when I mentioned a little bit ago about Ibaka, Gasol, and Siakam, what did I say at the beginning of this series? The Raptors front line was going to be the difference. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana, they can't beat you if they're on the sideline. The Raptors front line was consistent from what I've seen in infiltrating the Dubs' interior defense for the better part of the series. What they did was the Raptors and their front line, they went, put their hand inside that peach and snatched the seed out through the fruit. That's what they did. That's what they did. They snatched the seed out like a Bruce Lee. And the peach is still whole, but the seed was out. See what I'm saying? That's how you attack the Warriors on the inside. And truth be told, when it comes to Steph, I still can't get over that, how this boxing one defense is janky. I just can't get over that. Now, you can't play a boxing one for every team you go up against. But that's a staple, too. That's a fabric. That's one of them nuances. I knew what the boxing one was way back when. And you don't know what that is, but you're a professional. No offense to Steph. He's great dude. Love him all that. Got range. He got all of that. But, man, you don't know what a boxing one is. Ooh-wee. And your father was an NBA player. But anyway, I'm not going to get off on Steph. Kudos to the Raptors. You know, they went on ahead and did it, got it done. And in particular, I'm so glad Kawhi Leonard did what he did when he was in San Antonio about going to get a second opinion. So glad. So glad. Because Durant going to miss a year. And ain't about no 6 months, 5 months, 8 months and a half coming back from that Achilles. Or for Clay with ACL. You need a full year. That's how long I was out. I was out actually 14 months, to be honest with you, before I was really.
So when you want to know why the Raptors or why the Lakers sold everything, bet the farm on AD, is because you have the best nuclear team in the NBA in flux. Now you have their three biggest stars. Yeah. No, it's in flux, man. Because here's the thing: what's going to happen, right? I think first of all, we know that Kevin Durant.
I say Father Time is going to happen.
Social media. We know that Kevin Durant listens to social media. We know that Kevin Durant is very concerned about the optics of his legacy. So he's definitely going to take seriously what has happened to him and use that to fuel whatever he does for the rest of his career. If he decides to stay with Golden State, it's for the purpose of winning with this team and getting back healthy to win with this team, because this team still, when healthy, is the best team in basketball. And I think they'll remain that at least for the next 2 seasons. This season coming up and the season after, I firmly believe.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
With Clay.
But at the end of the day, when we were talking about the Lakers earlier, the Lakers getting better on paper, if in nothing else, but so are the other teams in the league. Portland gonna get better.
They are.
Denver gonna get better.
Portland, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there ain't no guarantees.
Portland
now.
and Denver, yeah, Portland and Denver can get better. Right. While there aren't any guarantees, you're talking about a team. We're talking about teams with ceilings to climb, and you're talking about a team that only because of injury, we're wanting to see if they can get back to where we know they could be. You follow what I'm saying?
Okay, that's fair.
It's a different type of
Yeah.
It's returning to familiarity or getting to where we think you can go or reaching your ceiling.
So it's a different type of
That being
expectation,
said,
so to speak.
What'd you say now?
Different type of expectation.
Yeah, it's a different type, right?
Okay.
So that being said, this year is the year for teams to really put themselves in alignment to be ready when Golden State returns. Oh, what's it going to be like when he get back? You know what I mean? What's it going to be like? What is it going to be like when Mike Tyson returns from his hiatus? You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
I need to be
you.
ready because the time is now. They're going to have a down year. And I think we talked about this in private before the show. I think it was a year like this that it was a season like this that put San Antonio in position to maintain their standard of excellence that they had. I believe it was a down year where David Robinson was injured and he fell off the map and ended up in the lottery. And in that lottery, they ended up with the number one pick.
Yeah.
So David Robinson was hurt. And they drafted Tim Duncan. Now, will the Warriors fall to a lottery team? I'm not certain, but the possibility of them falling this year is certainly there. And you figure the team has cohesive as they are, a unit as cohesive as they are. If they were to fall and have the ability to pick up a number one pick in the 2020 draft, or in the 2020 draft, what would that look like having Clay healthy? And if Durant decides to stay, Durant stay healthy. Well, Clay's got to decide if he wants to stay and go to state. But having those guys return healthy with a young high-flying talent, whoever that might be, coming into next year, then you got to figure out. That's why teams bet the farm. That's why this Lakers trade makes sense for the Lakers. That's why this Lakers trade makes a lot of sense for the Pelicans because they putting themselves together for 2020 when the best team in the league still returns.
But let me say this, and I'll let Double J have the last word. Let me say this, though, about the Lakers. Go back to it. Yes, it makes sense right now, but is it microwave or not? Because if you don't win, see, the Lakers are the Lakers, and they kind of, by default, I guess, are separate from most other squads. You know what I mean? It's the Lakers, then it's kind of like with everybody else because they're a storied franchise. Jack Nicklaus and, all them guys. You know what I mean? They kind of in their own class or class by themselves. So if they don't win now, do you know how the fallout will be 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now? They'll be, see, you really betting the farm. Okay? You really betting the farm. Because Father Time is undefeated now. So you gambling right now. But how many more years on the back end are you gambling for right now? See what I mean? It's one thing. I ain't mad at nobody making no moves to set themselves up nicely. But the idea is set yourself up for I'm here today and I want to be here tomorrow. Right? If it's a possibility. Because you set yourself up for today and have no thought or give no thought to tomorrow. Yeah, you might get away with that if you're the Sacramento Kings or the Phoenix Suns, no offense to them. But if you can't do that, you can't be playing that game if you're the Lakers. Huh? Yeah. You can play that game if you're the Lakers if you want to. Go ahead, Double J. You got the last say. Take us on out of here for the day.
Well, everyone brought up very valid points. All I'm going to say is you're absolutely right, and we'll see what happens in the future.
And that's it? That's all you got to say? And I didn't even have to give you the bell? My gosh, it's really getting terrible. Yeah, happy Father's Day. That's what it is. It's Father's Day. Everybody's already in their Father's Day mood. Double J got his smoker's jacket on. but he's smoking Marlboros. Why? I have no idea. You're supposed to have a pipe. And Gully got his bunny slippers on. Or should I say them gold slippers on. Stay thirsty, my friends. Yeah, your neighbors already called me and told me when you go out to get the paper, say this guy thinks he's better than everybody else. But it's all good. I appreciate it. Yeah, And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the Spreaker.com network. You go to the search box and you type in the Shop Report. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, and, of course, via email, theshopreport365@gmail.com, and Spotify and Google Play as well. And if that don't work, you can Google it. For my guests, Double J, D. Gully, and all those who follow us on social media, we say thank you for your support. I'm Barbershop Jay, and you've been listening to the Shop Report. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.